very old friend. Oh no, I can't move. This is bad, this is very bad.
We woke to the sound of screaming and ran out to see a man had stabbed one of the passengers. He had that same dark, faded face as Emily and kept asking us to join them forever in torment. The guy he stabbed began to pulsate and move uncontrollably. I heard the snapping of bones, and his face began to fade. It was an awful sight. He then stood up asking his wife and son to join him so they could be complete. So picked up a piece of wood and stabbed the guy right through the head. He then proceeded to fade out into the mist almost as though he was part of it. It seems that engines are the only things that have been affected. We also saw that during the night the guards on duty were ambushed by these birds or maybe even pterodactyl-like creatures. What the hell even is this thing? We decided the best plan was to keep going down the line and try to find Gordon, Percy, or anyone else. God, I hope we don't run into any more of those things. When we neared Gordon's Hill, we decided to check the express coaches that were derailed, and we realized there was a brake coach. Did Gordon lose at this train? I mean, he must have. He didn't have a brake coach yesterday. We didn't know how these coaches had gotten here, as they weren't here when we had originally gone up. We decided it was best to leave them be and keep going. While heading down Gordon's Hill, we were shocked to find a little old engine. He was damaged, broken, and he was almost out of coal. But the number 2 on his tender told us everything. He didn't say anything. He groaned in pain as he kept backing away from us. This whole thing must have taken a toll. And made it to Man where we had originally seen Emily. We put Edward and James into a siding where Edward finally spoke. Apparently this all started about a month ago when that new research facility was built to research Sodor's past and recently found artifacts. Thomas was sent to help at the facility for a while till Topham could get a permanent engine. While doing so, Thomas began to act different. He was always worrying and being clumsy. That was until the day it all went wrong. 2 weeks ago, the facility had been doing strange experiments that were yet unknown, during which Edward took a goods train to the facility where he talked to Thomas.
I don't like it here at all.
Why is that, Thomas?
I see strange lights and hear strange noises every night.
But then strange noises were heard within the facility. The people within began to scream and a massive roar echoed throughout the yard. The folk sirens blared as the mist leaked out of the facility and spread all over Sodor. Edward tried to run, but the heavy train held him back. Thomas tried to help, but Edward told him to run. Edward slowly moved, and when he finally got a grip, he saw Murderch heading right towards the facility. Murderch hasn't been seen since. Some engines were transformed into horrible monsters, while others were lucky enough to be spared. Edward began to cry, asking why out of everybody he was spared. We didn't believe him and told him the mist never leaked from the facility and there never was a massive roar and that everything was fine until yesterday when we were at Knapford with him. Edward stared at us with confusion. Knapford? I haven't been to Knapford in over a week. I don't know what to think anymore. He claims that the facility is the cause of this and that he wasn't at Knapford, but I've witnessed the exact opposite. The old engine has no hope, but James and the passengers who stay with us believe it will be okay. While on guard, I saw Toby rush past with Henrietta and 2 old branchline coaches heading towards Tidmouth. He didn't stop. Most likely didn't even notice us, as this mist had gotten worse. Why would Toby be running away from the mainland? Perhaps we'll head back down to Tidmouth and look for him. Edward said that they had a base at Brendan with a few other engines and a bunch of people, but they were attacked by 2 engines who put them through traps and games, which resulted in the others' death. We might go check it out to see if anyone else made it. While sitting around, we saw that engine again. I think I saw those 2 old branchline coaches along with Henrietta behind him begging for him to stop. They only confirmed exactly what it was. We made a plan, which was to leave half the passengers at Marin and head back down the line towards Tidmouth, as Edward begged us saying to check it out to see if we could find Toby or anyone else, then to Brendan. We arrived at Tidmouth, where we found something, the remains of the only tram engine on Sodor, and that's when we knew we had lost Toby. His face was faded and looked as though he was screaming and crying blood, and worst of all, the wood above his face had been crushed, and inside his cab was worse. His crew was there. They were both stabbed by the pieces of wood from Toby's cab, and his boiler was the same too, dented and crushed. What could cause this kind of damage? James felt bad as he was rude to Toby all throughout his time on Sodor and never got to properly say he was sorry. Edward also began to cry, saying how it was all his fault and didn't deserve to be saved. We asked what he meant and how he knew Toby would be here. He said Toby was one of the few engines with him at the docks, and when they were attacked, Edward told Toby to run to Tidmouth and he'll meet him there. We told him it wasn't his fault and he didn't have to blame himself. We were about to leave when we saw Lever hiding amongst the trucks. He was babbling uncontrollably. He saw us, asking if we had seen Toad. We told him no, but that didn't help. We coupled a lever up and continued down the line. We arrived at Tidmouth sheds to fill James' tanks, and we never thought to see what we saw. We heard crying coming from one of the berths. We opened it and we couldn't believe what we saw.